Viral comedian Gianmarco Sorrenti's hilarious bit on divorce actually reveals this dark reality. Let's check it out.
My mom's been divorced twice, my dad's been divorced 3 times, and I have 4 younger half siblings, so 2 total. And a lot of people...
Did you catch that?
Oh, wait, what? That was 4
half siblings. And so then 2
Oh,
total.
2 total.
It took like me a second too to realize
That's
that.
actually really awesome. Okay.
A lot of people think that certainly by 36, you should stop blaming all your problems on your parents. Well, riddle me this. If you were in a building with a f***ed up foundation, would you feel safer on the 36th floor? I had dinner last month with my ex-stepdad. There's not a convenient name for that relationship because it shouldn't exist. I don't know what's better, former stepdad, the dad who stepped down. The only reason we still spend time together is because he pays for every meal, which technically makes him my sugar daddy, if anything.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, man.
That is so we're not
That
trying to
dude's
make
a riot.
we're not trying to make fun of divorce, but he did that so
He
that was
did.
so freaking clever. But we're an anti-trafficking organization. We talk about how to stay safe from sex trafficking and spread awareness so that young people never have to experience exploitation again. Why are we reacting to this? Well, we'll get into that in just a moment and how all of this ties into something way darker. But first, let's check out the comments on this because they were pretty freaking hilarious. A lot of people resonated. 4 half siblings, so 2 in total. Laughed so hard.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
I know, it took me a couple times too. It was really, really clever the way he did that. Would you feel more comfortable in a building with a bad foundation if you're on the 36th floor? That's a good question, you know?
No is the answer.
No is the answer. We were laughing and it's funny, but he highlighted an extremely important point. Childhood is your foundation. When it's suffering, you need to call in a foundation repair company. Therapy.
Yo,
So
that's
freaking true. And this one's sad. My boyfriend had a broken family. The other day he said he doesn't have a family. I go, well, you have your mom, dad, brother. He goes, those are my parents, but I don't have a family. Broke my heart so much. Honestly, like so many people can relate to that type of, like I remember when my parents were separated for quite a few years when like I was in high school and going into college. And I remember, but they never like actually like divorced. And I remember that whole entire time I was like, I don't have a family anymore. Like this isn't a real family was my thought. And so, yeah. I relate. This one, it's a really sad situation to be in. Can't imagine what he went through before. Still felt the pain in his voice. No child deserves to go through that. It's messed up, honestly.
Yeah, dang. And honestly, like,
So
good for Gianmarco. Like, I appreciate him even just sharing that part of his story and using it in a comedy bit in a way that I feel is like honest on his part, but also like is able to connect with, obviously say something that a ton of people resonate with, and then also do in a way that like, you know, what is it? Like we laugh to not cry type of situation, but
yeah, absolutely.
Everyone's still crying.
The comments show everyone is still crying. Well, and I think the comments reveal that like it's not like a flippant thing. Like divorce isn't a flippant thing. And unfortunately it's like super, super common, but it has some devastating effects, especially when we talk about its connection with trafficking. And so we're not trying to judge families that have been affected by divorce by any means, but it really does show like a huge risk factor to trafficking and exploitation. Because we know the last 15 years that we've been educating on trafficking and how to stay safe, the pimps and traffickers, they are looking for vulnerabilities in young people. And the breakdown of the family is actually one of the biggest contributing factors, risk factors to exploitation. Like we know it affects mental health and mental illness in young people, but then it's also predators are looking for that kind of stuff. And it doesn't mean that like if you're a young person and your family's been touched by divorce or you come from a broken family that you're automatically going to be trafficked and exploited. But it does mean that there's a vulnerability there that needs to be addressed, that we need to be aware of, whether we're like a parent that is helping our child navigate through like our own divorce or, you know, our own broken family, or if we're a child trying to navigate that ourselves too.
Well, in this whole kind of like concept that we're talking about, psychology calls attachment. And it's the basically how our with our primary caregivers, how our ability to have our skills for relationships were formed in the first place.
How we connect.
Yeah. And so it's really interesting because, like if that gets jacked up, the foundation, man, if that's crooked, you keep just building that thing sideways, it's not going to like straighten out on the 40th floor. Yet, how often do people just expect like, or have this thought of like, oh, what's wrong with me? I should be able to like do whatever without ever having dived into their own stories at all.
Absolutely. Well, and we see, like, we know so many survivors who have this risk factor within their families. Like one survivor, she talks about having come from a divorced family and in middle school, just feeling like she didn't know where she belonged. Like both of, like one of her parents, like remarried and they had like other kids in the family. She felt like she didn't belong there. Like, and so she was constantly bouncing back and forth. She didn't have a home, and yet other kids in her family, even like her family unit on one side, had a home. And so she was like so confused by that. And we know that traffickers, like they recruit in very similar ways that like gangs recruit, where they're promising this like family dynamic, and they'll pretend to be like that lover boy method, pretend to be like a boyfriend or girlfriend, but they'll also pretend to be like a father figure. And even the language they use, like traffickers make their victims call them daddy, or the other victims that they have, if it's like all female victims with like a male trafficker or male pimp, they call each other wifey, wife-in-law, sister-in-law. Like that's a very powerful language. And that's why it's so powerful, because it's playing up on that attachment of young people in order to like that attachment that's laid the foundation with our primary caregiver, with our parents from birth. And then a trafficker is coming in and totally taking advantage of that brokenness.
Totally. Yeah. And I would even argue that this has to do more with the card someone got dealt and how it determines how well someone can navigate relationships. Yeah. And because really, the quality of relationships in our lives determines the quality of someone's life. There's a Harvard study that talked about summarizing it, that basically the key to happiness is the relationships that we have. And if someone's foundation for how to do relationships is jacked up, and they are either like running away all the time or super clingy or some sort of mix of both of those, like it's really difficult to have that quality of life.
Absolutely. Well, and I think it goes back to, we all experience different things and different hardships in our life to varying degrees. And someone can, there could be two people that experience the same hardship. Let's say they both experienced SA, and both of them go to their parents or their primary caregivers about that experience. And on one hand, you have the primary caregiver, similar to one of my relatives who, when their daughter came to them and said that they had been SA'd, blamed them, said they shouldn't have walked home that way and made the shortcut, told them that it was their fault that it happened. You've got others, we've heard from students that like disclose to us that they've been SA'd, but their parents aren't believing them, especially when it comes to like family dynamics, like another family member had SA'd them. So you've got that experience. You've got another one that can be SA'd as well and have that like same experience. And yet when they go to their parents or the primary caregivers and explain what happens, like their caregivers are like, oh my gosh, like they empathize with them, they sympathize with them, they go to law enforcement, they, you know, try to get justice for that situation. Like they help them, whether it's therapy, whatever those next steps are. And the outcomes for both of those people that experience the same exact thing, horrific thing, someone that no one should experience, that trauma, are going to be able to navigate that, navigate relationships, be able to have totally different outcomes in their life because of the attachment that they had with their primary caregiver. That sets up everything. And so traffickers are looking for someone that has an insecure attachment with their family unit, because they want to come in and pretend like they can be the answer to all their problems. They're going to listen to them. Yes.
That like longing and those broken pieces in the family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I really think what like he was talking about in this bit, because him saying that like if you had a bad foundation in a building, would you feel safest on the 36th floor? Like no, right? And so really like our relationships with our family and with our parents from the time we were infants all the way growing up through childhood, that is going to set the foundation for our relational map for the rest of our lives. And so if someone has a relational map in which there were red flags, there was abuse, there were toxic dynamics, there were unhealthy dynamics going on, there was broken relationship, that relational map, all those things are going to feel normal to them. And so when they enter other relationships or encounter people that may be like a pimp or a trafficker or a predator, someone that's going to exploit them, it's not going to send off all these like warning signs in their brain. It's just going to feel normal to them.
They're not going to be like, oh wow, this is a like strange situation that this person is like offering to be a solution to me. In an inappropriate way.
Yeah. And so what we would argue is that insecure attachment with your primary caregiver for a student, for a child, is actually one of the leading risk factors to trafficking and exploitation. But if you're a parent or a safe adult in a kid's life, then we actually have a training just for you that you can sign up for free that actually gives you some of the skill sets surrounding how to establish secure attachment with the young people in your life. And so this is going to look a little bit different probably by the time we post this video because we're transitioning our platforms. But we've got a parent digital program. And so you can actually sign up for free. Not only is it going to teach you the basics of what trafficking is, how to keep your kids safe from exploitation, especially online exploitation and digital exploitation, but we also have a whole entire course within that program to actually teach you how to establish secure attachment. What is attachment? How does that work? How does the grooming process work in the context of all of this? And so you can sign up for free. It's going to take you and teach you exactly what to do. You can even take an attachment quiz to see, hey, personally, what is my attachment style? And so all of that is going to be pinned in the comment below. So go ahead, check it out, sign up for free if you're a parent or a safe adult in a kid's life.